Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Gazelle Podcast. I'm joined here today by some of my team members who I'll let introduce themselves. From my left.
I'm Mike Dunn and I'm an account exec at Gazelle.
I'm Kat Hicks, hello. And I'm an account executive at Gazelle.
You are indeed.
Mm-hmm. I am Gary Brotherton and I'm the commercial director at Gazelle.
Cool. So, right, this is the first time we've done one of these together. I'd like our audience, they're going to get to know you all a lot more, Kat, you in particular, I'm sure. So I think it'd be great if you all just sort of give a bit of background on you, not why you joined Gazelle, we've done all that stuff, but just tell us about yourselves and your background. What's got you here?
Yep, so I've run businesses for the past 20 years and we obviously, our paths crossed a couple of years back now and we started doing a little bit of work together and it developed into me coming to work for Gazelle.
And what you do is a bit of a sideline. We'll talk about the sauna later on, but tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I essentially enjoy setting up interesting businesses and running various different things from afar. Obviously, my main focus at the moment is on Gazelle.
Obviously.
But yeah, we've got the traditional Scandinavian sauna on the horizon.
That's going to be a plug later on. Don't you worry about that. So we'll talk about the sauna later. But what about your career as an international rock star? Was more what I was thinking about, Mike.
Wow, we try to avoid that and not talk about that. Yeah, so I spent probably 10 years playing music in bands, travelled a little bit, did some recordings for various people, and yeah. So I've worked as a musician when I was younger, and then I made my family proud by going and getting a real job. So yeah, but it still comes in. I mean, we still run a little agency that does bits and pieces, and every now and again I'm called to sort of go and play, which is a bit of a rarity these days. But I still do that every now and again. I do some dubious recordings.
Including the Gazelle Podcast theme tune, everybody.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that I will be re-recording that at some point. That was just merely a draft idea to throw over, and I didn't realise you'd be so behind it. Yeah,
I've been coming ever since.
Well, that kind of, that sums up me, really.
Great. So Dave Grohl of the team. Kat, top that.
Top cat. So I've been in insurance, I was thinking about this since 2006. So I started off doing cold calling, essentially telemarketing. So I did that for 3 years, obviously for insurance brokers. And then I moved into handling and I've always enjoyed new business, basically. So then I've worked for brokers. Well, this is my third broker now that I've worked for, but I don't move around a lot. Like I am quite stable in my job. Yeah, that's me. I live with my dog that I'm obsessed with. It's my LinkedIn. Sadie is my life. And it's just me and Sades. And I just love it here at Gazelle. It's honestly such a happy place to be. And
God bless you. That's
and
sweet. Thank you.
Lovely boss.
Gotta get that in.
Yeah.
Cool. It's interesting. You ask anybody that works in insurance, tell me about yourself, and they automatically tell you how long they've worked in insurance.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. I really do. So, speaking of which.
Well, on that note, I've worked in insurance. I need to double check the maths, but I think in September it'll be 23 years. Wow. So man and boy. I'll have to double check those maths.
Like you're bad at math.
No, yeah.
Probably a prerequisite of the role.
Chartered insurance broker. Been doing it a long time. Got into it by accident, like most people. It was wanting an office job. You hand your CV to your local insurance broker. The next thing you know, you've got an insurance job. And once you start doing it, it's kind of what you do. It's started off making the brews, doing the filing. You get good at that, you get given more work to do. Before you know it, you're commercial director at Gazelle.
And then you get the brews made for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually think I got the ultimate garage a couple of years back. I think I've got the ultimate one.
Go on.
But I was obviously working for an accountancy firm, and then I got garaged and ended up working at Gazelle. That was it. One afternoon, couple of pints in, conversation flowing. That was it. I got garaged.
People say the name's dying out, but there's 2 in 1 room.
It's getting a lot of airtime with this podcast, to be fair. So and the business name, obviously. So cool. That's great. I think one thing I'd just like to establish for our regular viewers is that Gary, this is your second podcast. You don't remember the first one very well for a couple of different reasons. One, we won't talk about your stinking hangover, but we will talk about the very serious health issue you had at the time that was unbeknownst to us that you were dealing with and going through.
Yeah, so unknown at the time, as Gary says, I was hungover, but well, we did know about that, but what we didn't know was that I also had what the doctor called an impressive amount of pneumonia, which also explains why I felt so dreadful. But that was about 6 weeks ago now. And I'm pleased to say that today I've only got a hangover. So it's
finally
medical progress.
It was touch and go for us all for a while, but finally, A, we can laugh about it. And B, you finally stopped talking about it now, so it's great. So different excuse. Yeah. So about your numbers, Gary. So collectively, this is effectively the sales team, if you like, at Gazelle. I think we don't particularly refer to it as that, and obviously, without going to sort of customer service here, it's not really a sales team. We add value and deliver and blah blah blah. But ultimately, we want to get the word out, the brand out for the business. So I think it's we'll talk about some of that and what that looks like as we go through the podcast and in future discussions. But I'm interested in and Kat, you sort of touched on it a bit before, but what motivates you? What do you enjoy about being an account executive or in that sort of account director role in the business, you guys? Not necessarily at Gazelle, by the way. I'm just talking about that thinking about one of the things we'd like to do is talk to people that don't necessarily work in insurance, people that especially younger people out there that are thinking about careers and ideas of what to do. And we try and sell this as a fun place to be in a fun industry. But how we think it is, right?
Yeah.
But what is it that attracts you to the role? What is it you really enjoy doing? Motivates you doing the job?
For me personally, I'm just really passionate about clients. Like, that's all I care about. I would just want to look after them and be there for them, and that's all. I'm not bothered about how much money we can make off a client. That's my least priority, basically. And I think just like career wise, I think obviously when I first started in insurance, obviously it was just doing telephone sales. And that's led me to like where I am today, and it's just a brilliant career, isn't it? I never thought I'd make, not that I make loads of money, sorry, that sounds bad. But I make a decent amount of money, and and it's just like, I came from nothing. So like, I remember when I had my first interview, going to work for Broker Network with Jed Hickey, who might even watch this, I don't know. But because I'd always
Shout out for Jed.
Hi Jed. Because I'd always worked in supermarkets. So like one of the things I asked was like, oh, do I have to wear a uniform? And he was like, no, obviously not. Do you know things like that? Obviously not. You're in an office, you wear office wear. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to wear a supermarket uniform, but just basic. Yeah, it's just brilliant. It's a brilliant career, and it can be so fun, and that's the main thing.
And you're the newest to the industry, Mike. Albeit, I think you've crossed over with insurance a lot over the years. You've been a business owner, run businesses for years. But what is it you've enjoyed the most? And I guess what made you make that move across to insurance?
I think it's the social element for me is really important. Not just internally amongst us, amongst the team, but actually client facing as well. I think there's a lot that you can do in our position to assist clients in more ways than just providing a good service and good covers. You're almost a part of their team. Once we get a client, we almost become an extension of their team. We're there to manage and to view what their risks are in their day to day, and then point out all of the things which they may not have considered. So I think we bring a lot more value than just policies at the cheapest price. And then also off the back of that, we like to refer to it as like the Gazelle family. And it really is, your client base and our networks are really focused on, who can help each other. It's kind of really obvious when you think about it, but our clients end up meeting other clients, and we tap into those networks, and the I mean, just yesterday I was speaking to somebody that was needing some components manufactured, and the day before I was walking around a factory that were literally making something so similar. I was like, you've got to meet up. This is, you know, this is too strange that this has occurred. So for us, it's about, well, certainly for me, it's about the social side. It's about meeting people, and making those connections for clients as well. You know, bringing them into the Gazelle fold. That's what I really enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, isn't it? I think that sort of, and you realise that over the years, maybe not in those sort of bigger corporate businesses, maybe, but when you're working with businesses day in, day out, and business owners, I mean, ultimately it is a group. It's a you know, a collection, a network, and I think, you know, as a kind of a focal point, I think quite often people come to their insurance broker and ask a lot of questions around, you know, oh, have you got, do you know someone who does X or Y? Generally thinking more about financial services, but actually that's a really good point. And when you can talk about that, and you've got other customers that, you know, are keen to win business, as everybody is, right? If you can help them and enhance their sort of, you know, their business at the same time, that's such a rewarding thing to do.
Yeah, we do tend to find, well, I do tend to find myself in a situation where, you know, you really are in the middle of things with clients, like all the time. So you can be that connection between the different businesses, and, you know, you're talking to people day in, day out about what their potential problems are. And actually, quite often, through other connections you've got, there's more than one solution. And, you know, part of that whole package is insurance, absolutely. But it's also providing support and information and connections wherever you can.
Well, you say about being in the middle, it's really interesting because as brokers, we don't pay premiums and we don't pay claims.
Yeah.
You know, we're in the middle, helping it all come together and making sure it works in the best way for the client.
Yeah.
And that's a great point again. So just asking you the same question, Gary, slightly different role. Obviously, you've been in this industry for umpteen years, like the other Gary. You know, what is it that clearly motivated to stay? Because you're a professional in that, you're an expert, and in terms of the chartered status, by the way, that's no mean feat. By the way, I don't think it's something necessarily we would shout about enough, but it's you know, such a big thing. But what is it? What now motivates you? What sort of gets you out of bed in the morning as a director of Gazelle?
The same things that I always have, and this kind of ties into the points you two are making, is it's the people. It's the, you know, in this age of kind of teams and all these different ways to connect with people, actually my favourite way to connect with people is to go and see them, which is why, you know, kind of loved sitting down with you guys here today, you know, kind of getting together as a group. And it's that human connection. It's the people, as I say, you know, we don't pay the premiums, we don't pay the claims. We're in there in the middle, making it happen, and just getting to know people and their businesses. And yeah, that's exactly what gets me out of bed in the morning. Yeah,
and I think if I could have myself as well, that is by far and away the best thing about the job. I love working with you guys and the team and everything else, but you know, I got into the industry for people. You know, you work in that sort of, and I think like a lot of people, we worked in a different environment. You know, people think you have to have degrees and things coming out of you know, to get into a financial services kind of industry. And I think we've all had different ways in, but most of it has been kind of at the bottom rung, or certainly in, you know, maybe sort of curveballish way in. Mine was the same, and I was door knocking in sales really for a while before I got into insurance. Sort of worked in our family businesses and worked in kitchens and things like that, which hence my liking of a pudding. But you know, for years and years, never thought about anything like this. But it was just to get a job in an office, because when you're knocking on people's doors, which actually was quite a lot of fun, and doing that kind of thing, and you know, salesy kind of role, and learning to deal with rejection, to have the opportunity to do that in an office with a suit on was brilliant. You know, because it's so much easier to get rejected on the phone with a suit on in a warm office and someone slamming the door in your face and setting the Rottweiler on you. So you know, a very different thing. But yeah, absolutely the same for me. It's been around, you know, the learning straight away is you know, your colleagues, your team. It is a great industry. It's fantastic from a relationship perspective. But I think, you know, what you get to do for clients, Kat, we've been out a couple of times the last few days, seeing prospects and you know, clients, and it's the best part of the job, right? So running a business, sitting in the office at 6 a.m. doing paperwork doesn't excite me, right? Yeah. Getting out and seeing prospects, getting on the road early doors, getting to see clients is by far and away the most important part of this. It's why we all do it. And to find a solution and to fix their problems, then to be able to, quite often as we do with clients, sort of celebrate success as well is great. And I think success obviously looks like it's not just about getting the cheapest premium, right? It's about getting the right deal, the right cover. And we talked about this sort of stuff, but been there at their hardest times as well. We celebrate, we make it sort of light-hearted fun with insurance, but the reality is a very serious subject when ultimately it goes wrong and people need their insurance and somebody has a claim. That's when we really sort of come to the fore. And I think it's so hugely important that you've got those relationships and that trust and everything else. And, the client knows that they can pick up the phone to you on a Sunday morning when there's a fire or whatever it is to be able to really sort of step in and help. You must have had a lot of experience with that, Kat, over the years.
Absolutely. And I think, what I always say about, obviously there's a lot of companies out there at the minute and you can't get through to anybody. So the main thing is like my phone is always on. You would never not be able to get through to me. And I think that is worth its weight in gold, surely,
I actually got scrapped to my business number and I just used my personal number.
Yeah,
literally got to the point where I was just like, this is pointless.
Yeah.
Well, the world's gone crazy a little bit in that there's so many ways to get hold of people. But yet when you really need to get hold of a lot of people, really difficult still. And it's making sure that, we're still sat on the right side of that.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, we had that conversation about WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And it was like, actually, WhatsApp's pretty handy nowadays. And I think pretty much everybody on my client list is on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
It's just so easy and so fast. So
It is. Other apps are available, by the way. But no, you're absolutely right.
I'm just saying that's the level of sort of the personal level that we go to. It's definitely not a email, very sort of straightforward connection. Like I think most of our clients, we've actually got a bit more of a relationship with them now.
Well, look, at the end of the day, the clients come to you. It's not, we're a newish brand.
Yeah.
We're doing okay because we've got a lot of great people in the business, and but we've all used our own personal brands to grow the business and to bring Gazelle to where it is now. So yes, Gazelle is, probably a bit more visible than it was, and it's quite a lot of places now. But the reason that you guys win business is because of you guys, and that's why you're gonna have a personal relationship with them and things. And you're absolutely right. I mean, everyone's phones are on all the time, and that's great, as it should be in our kind of roles. But I think the sort of flip side of that, you might end up getting a picture of a dog at about 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, absolutely.
FYI, anybody who said he's had a haircut, you're gonna know about it, right? But,
Lots of hearts, kisses. I don't know, a bit inappropriate maybe, but a few wines.
But even that, like with WhatsApp, and it's right, a lot of businesses do it. I get pestered all day long, and I say pestered because there's sales and there's engagement and things. And look, at the end of the day, everyone's got to get a service out there. You've got to get your brand on there. People know. And I don't mind people contacting me in any different form, but you can tell a sort of an AI or Autobot kind of WhatsApp message or response versus something that's actually from a person and feels in any way engaging. And that for me is, that's kind of the difference. WhatsApp for business kind of thing is a very different thing to actually being able to just speak to somebody who you've got a connection with and a picture of. And actually that does bring me on to another subject I was going to mention today, which is about AI and technology, which just comes up in so many conversations. I did an interview the other day with something, and it was focus on AI and technology. And I mean, I've got my views around where it sits, and anyone that follows me on LinkedIn will see the brilliant little Gazelle man doll thing that everyone seems to be doing now, which is great. But that's kind of what AI is doing for me at the minute. Other than writing a few lines on things and everything else. But it is starting to creep in now into our industry and our lives more because of other industries that we deal with. And I think, look, for me, insurance is historically, commercial insurance has historically been quite a clunky industry. I think we've had a lot of challenges around IT platforms and solutions and that. We are actually getting into the sort of modern times now with that, which is great. But one of the challenges there is we don't want the technology then to take over. And I think, bigger businesses that have huge scale, I totally understand why they might have to try and find, solutions and improve processes and things like that. But people are using AI now in different ends, like the front end of the business and what. So I think I know the answer to the question, but do we fear AI taking over our jobs? Do we fear technology being something that's going to get in the way of what we're doing as sort of the front end, the sales end of a business?
No. I mean, like people that go online now and get quotes and you see them and you just think, what a pile of, I'm not going to say, but you know, so it just shows that you can't, I don't think AI is ever going to take away from experienced insurance professionals that actually know what they're talking about. How can it? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the other sort of big thing around AI is that by like humans' very nature is to be creative and develop different ideas and different businesses, and no two businesses are identical. You get similar businesses, or, you know, obviously manufacturing is manufacturing. However, until you walk through the doors and see what's going on and how they're doing things and how the processes are there, you know, I'm yet to see how AI could ever make those assessments or have those conversations. Look, I'm sure at some point you'll be able to type in the specifics of what you do into a, you know, whatever contact form, and AI will then scour the market. And I mean, we've got very similar things already, but that's still from a biased point of view of the person doing it. Whereas an insurance professional will walk in and know the market, have understood the markets for years and years and years, and actually be able to provide you with some very, very accurate and, you know, complete solutions, as opposed to these off-the-shelf bitty policies, which actually you end up paying a lot more for stuff you don't need, and the stuff where you do need it, it isn't ramped up enough. So I don't really ever see how AI could replace a human in those situations.
Yeah, and I think AI being used as part of the process, or technology being used as part of the process, that can do those searches and you know, to get information quicker and better. Absolutely brilliant, right? If it makes our business streamlined, then that's potentially cost reduction we can pass on to our clients, which we'd love to do. You know, if it doesn't take us the time to do really heavy administrative tasks, but at the same time, if it's not an administrative task and it needs a bit of skill, it needs a bit of energy, it needs a bit. I mean, working in insurance 20 odd years ago, a big major insurance company where we were trying to build at that time an IT solution to quote for commercial combined business. You know, this is way back when. The commercial combined, for those that don't know, is like a mix of like all the different covers out there for a really complex and comprehensive client, that you try and put that into a form where you've got to fit in that box, and you can only, you know, there's drop downs and things like that. You just lose what that business is. And I think we were talking about this yesterday, Kat, with somebody, that actually from our perspective, one of our biggest jobs that our clients don't see is actually representing those clients in the insurance market with the insurers. And how you represent that client isn't saying, well, they're just a manufacturing business. Yes, the processes might be quite similar to other businesses, but is the culture, is their you know, their efforts towards health and safety, the way they approach things, is the buildings that they have, is the, you know, I can totally understand why some clients feel really frustrated, being pigeonholed in certain sectors and sections, because actually the reality is, you know, one business can often be 1,000 times better at doing something, or a better risk, because of the way that they approach something, and that's down to personality and culture and the people that are in the business, right?
It's translating the client's full story. And I suppose that's what we're very good at.
Yeah, because sorry.
All right.
I was just going to say, because websites, like, you can look at a client's website, right, and it'll say they do, I don't know, bloody scuba diving in the Indian Ocean training or something. Do you know what I mean? But they don't go anywhere near any of that. It's just all for show. That didn't make sense, but you know, so it's like actually pinpointing what, you know, you've got all this just to look good, but actually what do you do?
Yeah,
you know,
it's getting below the surface. And you know, one thing that always helps with insurers is when you do know that client, that gives them the confidence that you are bringing them good business that they want to quote on. And it really does help when you can go to an insurer and say, I've known these guys for 20 years and know they do things right. You know, I've seen when things go wrong and how they react to that. This is a client you want to do the insurance for.
Get them excited about it, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Get the underwriters excited, which doesn't, it's sometimes a hard job. Depending on the underwriters, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not excited too many underwriters in my career.
Not what I heard.
A quick point on the AI piece. I think it does represent quite an exciting opportunity for us guys, because we've talked about going out and seeing clients and that there's kind of like human connections. If it takes away a load of the process we have to do in the background so that we do more of that, then it just enhances the job. And if I think of all the hours in the past I spent doing with tasks like writing up meeting minutes,
Oh, yeah.
now you can go out and get that done automatically,
Yeah.
which means you can spend more time doing
Yeah.
the things you need to be doing.
The point of it is how you use the time, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, and not using it to replace, using it to enhance the offering, to speed up the processes, make things nice and simple. I mean, we all remember a time, or most of us remember a time certainly, where it might take you 6 or 8 months to get your insurance policy documents on a commercial policy, like when insurers used to have backlog drawers and manual memos and all this kind of stuff, and that was real. Like, we live in an age now where everything is instant. You expect it on email, you want to be seeing something. I think so. Obviously, technology has played a part in making the insurance buying process a lot better than it ever was before, in that sense. But then it's also perhaps got in the way when you do find yourself dealing with a bot or something that's not.
Oh, yeah.
And look, I think businesses and people do things generally for the right reasons. It's not always just about profit and things. It's about trying to enhance the offering, but you can just go a bit too far, I think, sometimes. And we keep saying it and we mean it. For us, and it's a lot easier for us as a boutique, a newer, smaller business to be able to say, right, we're much closer to the customer. But that's actually why us, and actually a lot of other businesses that we see sort of coming out now, really do exist, isn't it? And not just in our trade, in our sector, in insurance, in other spaces. We talk to clients that have done exactly the same thing, and have come out and set up because they're used to working in a big environment. Actually, their customers have got a bit frustrated by the over corporate nature maybe of the way that they had to evolve.
Absolutely.
Cool. So I've got a few other subjects I want to talk about, and we've eating into time, but it's these are really great topics, I think, to talk about. Just before we do, Mike, I do want to give you an opportunity just to plug. You've got a little sideline, which obviously I've got a financial interest in. So I just think might be an interesting time to talk about the sauna business.
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? I've always had like an intention of setting up many a different business where I think, what is it that I like? And to be honest, I'm turning into an old grumpy man that likes my own space and time. So yeah, recently, last couple of years, me and my friends and the missus have got into generally, well-being, sauna stuff, anything that gets you out of the pub and put social activities. So we've been going to like a lot of sauna, and in the town where I reside, we noticed an opportunity for a location specifically that's just outside of Scarborough that overlooks sort of a big valley and you can see the sea. And just
On a hilltop, right?
Hilltop, yeah. You're making these good connections. So yeah, thought it would be a really, really brilliant location to place a traditional Scandinavian sauna with cool dip pools, class deck so people can do yoga and a bit of mindfulness and meditation classes and things like that. But one of the really, really key things for me was just how stupidly expensive it can be to essentially go to a hot room and a big puddle in the ground. Yeah, go to a hot room and think about stuff. So we wanted to make it really accessible and, essentially pay per use, make it super easy to book in. So we're literally in the middle of setting that up right now. There was a few little snags with planning and things, to say the least. We thought we could get this through in 9 weeks, and it's been 9 months. But we'll hopefully at the back end of that now, we've got support from the people that we need support from, and the plans have been completely changed and totally reworked several times. And that's sort of taken up a lot of my spare time. But I think we're there with it now. So hopefully in the next 4 to 5 weeks, I think we'll actually have structures in place and be able to, open up and give sauna to the local community at a very reasonable price at Hilltop Sauna.
Hilltop Sauna, that's Hilltop Sauna for anyone that's watching.
I mean, in 4 to 5 weeks, I can get free sauna.
At a reasonable price. At a reasonable price. But I mean, I think the ultimate plan is to have a little network of these moving across the top of the UK. I mean, obviously,
one in every hilltop.
Gazelles. Well, you say that, but isn't there some crazy stat from, is it Sweden, where there are more sauna than there are people?
Really?
Honestly, I mean, double check that before we put it out.
I'm not sure.
But I honestly think there's more sauna than people.
Okay.
That's Sweden, not Scarborough, just to be really clear.
Can you imagine?
I think it's such a great idea, and I think just also wanted to create some clarity for my own personal network and anyone that thought that it wasn't a Lordy, real thing, but also I guess the type of establishment that it actually is, and it's it's a very, very credible.
It's
all about
football,
mindfulness.
Gary.
It's all about mindfulness. Absolutely. Right.
Mindfulness, relaxation, and general well-being.
Yeah, well,
It's genuinely incredible for you. If you look at some of the research, I mean, my wife will tell me off for saying this because she said you can't quote research, but you can. If you look it up on your own without me directing you to it, quick little online search, you'll see all the benefits you can get from loads of studies that have been out there.
I think people recognise that now. And
Yeah.
it's great. So yeah, watch your space, and we will obviously put a little link out somewhere to the sauna when that's up in the coming weeks. But now, really excited, and just watch out for the little gazelle in the logo. which is that's what I'm saying. It has crept in, hasn't it? So which is cool. So cool, right? So sort of switching the subject away from saunas for a second. I think the other thing that I'm really keen to do and use these podcasts for, and we'll put more time into these in future ones, is just to kind of encourage people and help people think about insurance as a career, help people think about insurance as a great place to work and to be, because I think one of the biggest challenges that we face, and we talk about this all the time, and I'm definitely a champion and advocate for, is the amount of young talent that kind of hasn't come into insurance over the last few years. It's not the space that we all came into a number of years ago, where it was pretty, not easy, but it was, there were routes there that were quite obvious. And actually, I think that's dried up a little bit, and some of the more traditional routes in are not there with from a volume perspective that they once were. And I think that opportunity for young people to come in and spend a year or two writing cover notes or learning in the background somewhere, everyone has to come in and add value now. And I get that from a business perspective and things, but we are really keen to talk to young people around and attract them into the sector. Just tell me about that. I guess from your perspective, I think really it's what I'm looking for is advice that we can give people, and what's the best advice that you've had, maybe as a young person coming in, or just the best advice generally.
Well, I think for young people, I think there's a message to go out to young people in general about this industry, which is it's far more interesting than you ever could think. It genuinely, you'll meet all walks of life, all business types, all types of people. And I think, before I joined the team, my perception of the industry was completely different to the reality. And I think my most important message to young people thinking about this is that the industry caters to all personality types. You don't have to be an extrovert. You don't have to be a complete introvert. Every personality type in between, there's a place for you somewhere within the industry. So if you're the most confident, outgoing person in the world, great. You could potentially make a really great exec. If you're a little more introverted but love, number crunching and problem solving, then yeah, great. There's probably a good job for you in broking. Mm-hmm. But really, it's about getting in, viewing it for yourself, and then finding out where you fit into what is a vast array of jobs. It's not just one little thing, but it suits all personality types, and it suits all type of people. It doesn't matter your background or where you've come from. I strongly believe that there's a place for pretty much anybody that's willing to work really hard.
Yeah, and I think the thing I like is it is a meritocracy, in that if you get into the sector and you've got something about you, you will do well. I mean, we've all talked about kind of knocking on doors, working in the supermarket. I was pulling pints before I came into it, and you kind of get into it. I've not got a degree or anything like that, but I got into it. I tried hard, and it's paid me back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to a young cat there stacking shelves back in the day, coming into thinking about coming to the insurance industry now?
I'd say just do it, and then you could be like me one day. I don't know. But no, it's just amazing. You said that was so good, Mike. Honestly, and I don't know what long word you said. But it's rude. No, it's just brilliant. So many of my clients, old clients, whatever, soon to be probably hopefully clients in the future, can't say too much, but yeah, I've been to their 60th birthday parties, I've been to London to the theatre with them. It's just about being friends with everybody.
It is, and I think to that point, right? You're absolutely right. We work in a heavily restricted industry where we can't talk to people sometimes when we move jobs and things like that, and we take that very seriously.
We do.
We do, very seriously. But yeah, look, when clients become friends, look, it's kind of inevitable at some point. Those friends might want to work with you again when they know you start. And it's not just about friends because you get it's around actually the value that you've created for their business. And I think I remember thinking when I worked in insurance early doors, everyone in insurance, it seems like all the mates are in insurance or clients are. Like, no, I don't want to get like that. I want to keep like a home life away from it. That don't happen. No. So I mean, you keep your friends and all, but actually, the reality is you spend time in such a social environment with so many great people.
Yeah.
You naturally gravitate towards individuals, and you find yourself suddenly, your entire social life is built around people talking about insurance or
I think
not insurance.
That leads to like just a brilliant tip around networking in general, which is, you are absolutely right. I had exactly the same mindset when I started. I thought, right now, I'm going to keep my personal life and my social life and my business contacts completely separate and all the rest of it. But the problem is that you meet clients that actually end up being really good mates, and you meet the sort of people and you attract the sort of people that you would generally hang out with anyway. So everything does get a little bit murky sometimes, but that's don't worry about that.
Yeah.
That's like when it comes to networking, I think work with the people that you like, and you really can't go wrong. And tap into those networks of like-minded people that want to help each other out. Even down to the stuff where it's like into the same music, into the same sort of sports, into the same activities, all that sort of stuff. You find that actually, if you tap into those networks, 80% of your job becomes really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a brilliant point. Actually, it is. It sort of comes with experience. I think with life experience, not just industry experience. But again, we set up Gazelle. It's kind of there'll be Gary clients and not Gary clients. So obviously, look, we sell a service, and some people, to everyone, insurance. To me, we pay quite a lot for our insurance now. Insurance as a commodity is something that you don't necessarily want to. Nobody wants to pay for insurance, obviously, but the buying process of purchasing your insurance and purchasing the trust and everything that comes with it actually can be a pretty pleasant thing if you're with the right people and they understand your business. It's certainly not an unpleasant thing apart from the exchange of cash and things, but it's kind of only when you've had those claims experiences that you really understand the value of what you're buying and who you're buying. But the reality is, certain people gravitate towards certain people. I think, as a boutique business, which I keep using that term, but as a smaller business, we don't need to have every client, and some people will choose not to deal with Gazelle, and that's absolutely fine. But actually, you're right. The more that you can build a relationship and a trust and everything else, and we can see that from the client base that we've already got, by the way, as a young business. A lot more than I expected at this stage in terms of volume, which is terrific. But that's because we've connected through so many different, networking forums, our own networks, essentially, is what's key. And I think your own network, not just from a client perspective, but from an insurer market perspective, from the whole kind of food chain around us, the whole cycle around, is so important. It's just so important. And I think,
well, you said as part of that, you said it's who you're buying.
Yeah.
And it's it's a bit of a cliche, but people buy from people.
Yeah.
You might say it's a soundbite. But it is, it is again just those human connections we've spoken about.
Yeah, massively.
Well, I think my favourite one is my local pub. Literally that. Got them as a client. I'm in there all the time anyway. I don't know which one's got which. Actually thinking about it, now you've pointed it out. I think my yearly spend is far higher than theirs.
Yep. Yeah, that tends to be how these things work. But it's a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah, it's just dawned on me. They've absolutely sucked.
You may as well do their insurance, given that you're effectively paying the premium yourself. So, last point for me today. I think we spent a lot of time. We could talk about all these subjects like so much more, and we definitely will on more podcasts. I think one of the things talking about the social side of things and the industry and relationships. So we're at the Bieber conference in a couple of weeks' time, the British Insurance Brokers Association conference. Shout out to you guys, which is kind of the biggest event in the insurance calendar of people getting together from the market, the industry, and effectively networking and hopefully celebrating some success together and spending quite a lot of time. And so our next podcast is actually going to be filmed live from the. I say live. We can film it live at the. We're not going to put it out live. It's going to be filmed from the Bieber conference. So, last point, because I know it's not something, Mike. It's you're a Bieber virgin, so this will be a new one for you.
Indeed.
Kat, you're a Bieber virgin too. Fantastic.
Can't be.
Gary, you'll have done a few.
Yeah, I've done a few.
I've done a few. Very quickly, the value of Bieber for our business.
Yeah, well, it's it's just so many people from the industry getting together in one place, and it's great for us up north because most people are coming to us. So it's great to have those people and those networks on our doorstep, and important decisions do get made there. You do get to speak to kind of all the right people that are there for 2 days. You've got them, and it's just about making the most out of it.
Yeah, and you guys will get to meet a few of our friends and colleagues from the insurance industry on our podcasts from Bieber. So on that note, guys, it's been a fun session. I really enjoyed this, and again, look, you're going to see quite a lot more from this team and hear from them. So thanks everyone for watching. This has been the Gazelle. Cheers.
Thank
See
you.
soon.
Bye.